Welcome to the Loud Quiet. Ooh, empty nester. Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think that actually probably is the theme of the empty nest. What are we doing? Let's do this. Let's do this thing. I don't know if I'm recording. Yeah. Okay.
Great. Sans children. Just us. We need a tissue box up here. Follow along on our journey, and maybe, we can learn from others.
Yeah. I don't have a clue how to be empty nester.
This is the Loud Quiet, living the empty nest.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Loud Quiet after a little hiatus. It wasn't a hiatus of life, it was a hiatus of just episodes. But glad to be back recording, sharing stories with y'all, and sharing stories with each other on episode 38, that we are finally back.
Yes. Yeah, it feels like we were gone for a month, and you'll see why when we get into our 20 photos that we have, and that's cutting them down.
We just scared our listener away.
If you listened to the episode before, we did talk about how we were headed to Arizona for Tanner's week of graduation celebrations. And you'll see. By Sunday, we got there Saturday. By Sunday, you and I looked at each other and said, we feel like we've been here for 4 days, right. And it's been one.
Oh my gosh. It was a fun, filled week for sure.
It was just a lot of fun. And we did everything the child wanted us to do.
If he asked, we said yes. This was,
and luckily they hit their lull a little bit,
and we'll get into it. But there were times that we were allowed to leave so that they can continue on with their crew. So
I think I made the statement of, I felt like I've been hit by a bus several times, and I wasn't drinking.
Yeah, no,
so it was like,
we'll talk about it for sure.
Yeah. So anyway,
we started
we'll get into
on
it. Yeah, we
Saturday.
left Saturday. Yes, and we ended up
changed to an earlier flight
because the weather, we weren't sure, and the bar crawl started, and we were like, you know what? We were just getting excited. We wanted to get there. We wanted to have fun with him.
Boy, did you just drop that in there? That was so like the bar crawl started.
Well, yes.
So the first thing we did after landing is And
actually, it was really funny because we got to the bar crawl before Tanner and his crew showed up. So we're walking up to the first stop that we were going to meet him at. Well, there's two of Tanner's friends, Gabe and Zoe, waving at us like, hey, come on. So we hung out with his friends before we even saw him.
Which that is kind of fun as a parent to not only know your kid has great friends, but to enjoy your kid's friends' company even without your kid. Now,
and we've been able to do that because for the past 4 years, we have gone out there, and every time we go, we take a group to dinner or two groups to dinner, and so we have formed relationships with these kids over the 4 years.
Now I realized you actually skipped two elements of our starting the bar crawl even before we got there. So first I had my cocktail on the plane there, decided that I wanted to start the bar crawl at, 42,000 feet, 600 miles an hour at 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then
smelling wild turkey at 9 in the morning is so pleasant.
And we went to Fuzzy's before even starting that, which is a good choice. Get your chips and queso in your belly first.
And Fuzzy's was actually a stop on the bar crawl, but
we just pre-stopped it.
That one was kind of lame. Yeah. So Tanner kept telling his friends, my parents started the bar crawl before we even did. I was like, okay.
And it's on Mill Avenue, which is the restaurant and bar at walking distance from campus, actually technically attached to campus, if you will. And the hotel that we stayed at this time was walking distance to there.
Which was amazing. I mean, if we did anything right on this trip, it was picking the Tempe Mission Palms to stay at.
Absolutely.
We walked everywhere.
That's right.
Every ceremony, every bar, restaurant that was around that we were going to. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really a good choice.
And it's a beautiful hotel. The scenery is beautiful. Oh, that was another picture that I put in there that didn't make it. Yeah, something was going wrong with, but you can put it in post. But
great hotel.
It had the scenery and everything in there. So,
and that for anybody who's listening to this with kids approaching graduation, I don't know what it is for every other school, but we booked this hotel, I think, am I going to exaggerate when I say August of last year? It was like
Probably.
August, September time frame, so
Mm-hmm.
almost a year in advance.
Yeah.
Booking it, which allowed us to be at the hotel that was closed, which allowed us to do that.
And in a place like, if you want to stay
Yeah.
in Tempe near campus, you have to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Plenty of
you
hotels
could
in the
stay-
Phoenix
plenty-
area.
Yes, you
but
could stay out anywhere, but yeah, we wanted to be close. So yeah, so this
Let's get back to the bar
This
crawl.
was the Sun. This is Sun Bar. That's where I took y'all's photo at, and it was just one of the stops on the many stops that we did. And I mean, I just love it. For those of you that know Tanner, you know, it's pretty much like the mayor of town has come in. You know, I mean, he just every place we went into, Tanner, you know, and we met the first week of school, and you know, he just has he has so many different groups.
Right.
And it's just so, and you know, hearing your son is so nice, and you know, we've really loved being with him and the friends, and you know, it's fun to hear, you know, and then you get the gossip of like, you know, someone walked by and Tanner was like, I hate that guy, and I overheard him say, I hate that guy. I was like,
In reverse back to
I know,
Tanner to tell the.
I was like, oh, I've never heard someone say that about Tanner, and once I got the story, I was like, okay, well, yeah.
And we won't share that.
So
It
anyways,
was the crawl itself was something that is beyond what is usually yours and my entertainment capability. The volume and the thumping bass, and by the end of it, we actually I still have a little bit of a soreness in my
Yeah.
throat from not
Couldn't
being able
talk.
to talk
Yeah.
at the end. You were screaming at it, but it was just it was fun. Some of us got a drink at every bar, meeting people there, talking to.
and this was day one.
Well,
And
yeah.
the amount of elbows, but
Well,
like,
no, what did I say?
but like we've
I've
said,
touched more
you
body
know,
parts and had more body parts touch me in these
but
places. 'Cause,
it is
God.
so fun when they see that you're a parent. They're like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me," you know.
It is. The service was incredibly polite, and so were the overly crowded bars.
Yeah.
As these kids would kind of.
Yeah, so we made
Defer to the olds.
We made our stops to the ones that, you know, Tanner, that they like to go to, and then the last one we went to was the grossest one, and Tanner was like, "Yeah, we don't come here because it's gross." So I was like, "Well, why are we here now?"
And it was huge. 3
Yeah,
stories,
yes.
but some of the stickiest floors and just kind of a grody vibe.
Yeah.
But
And I did notice when we'll get into, every time we walked by there at any other time, there was no one in there.
Yeah.
So that one must be kind of,
or we
that's
were way
one-
too early.
Or that's one where underage kids can get in,
I don't
because
know
all
about
the
that.
underage kids were gone at
Right.
this point because finals were done. But
Oh man.
so yeah, so that was fun. And then, so then as we were getting into our Sunday, which you and I went and hiked, we met Tanner for lunch. My parents and brother and sister-in-law were driving across country, and they got to go through Tucson, and they picked up Tegan. So Tegan got to show my brother and Noom her campus, and also my parents. They had not seen her campus yet. And this is a picture for all of y'all that is by the Turtle Pond, which is a really neat little corner on campus that, you know, has live turtles in it, and they
This is
take
one,
care of them.
if you look at it, and especially because it is Chad Noom, it looks like this is a picture from Thailand.
And that, I actually asked Noom, I said, "Did you love the palm trees?" And she saw them on Tanner's campus too, but she was like, "Yes, it's so," I'm sure it made her feel like home
yeah.
more than Germany does. So, but yeah, so Tegan got to show them around, and they went to lunch, and then they drove.
They were able to bring Tegan up, and that's one
yeah,
thing.
it was great.
I always spend too much time thinking and enjoying this, but I will just say that the logistics of this trip,
Yeah.
it is amazing how it coordinated. The fact that both of our kids were at universities that are an hour and a half apart from each other, there's no way that Tegan could have gone to Tanner's graduation and successfully done her finals if she were at a school almost anywhere else.
It just depends, because
And move out, and-
because most of Tanner's roommates' siblings were there that go to different schools. They just, now that a lot of finals are online, it worked out. But now, if she would have had her math final like it was supposed to be scheduled, then no, she wouldn't have been able to, because she would. That one's in person. But yeah,
So the logistics really did
yes,
work out, and it was
did.
great that your parents could even swing through. on their way to see Tanner and Chad Noom and bring her up there. It just was amazing how this all worked out in this week.
Yep. And so then that night we did our family dinner. We didn't have any graduation festivities this day, except that we had planned this dinner
at
Bang Bang.
Which, no, it is not the first time when Tanner mentioned that to me, I actually asked him. I thought it was a rifle range or a gun range.
Oh,
no, it's a Asian inspired, very heavily Japanese inspired, but also wider Asian food. Again, this was a place that was on the pub or the bar crawl as well.
It was.
Because it was thumping club music and still had some of that at dinner toned
It's
down
half
a
and
bit.
half.
Yeah.
It's a restaurant and it's a club, but they had it going this night that we were there. The club music was pumping.
So your parents are at the exact opposite end of the table from me, and so is Tegan. I didn't say a word to Tegan because there's no way we could hurt each other.
Yeah,
Food is good.
Food is great. Yeah, Noom she loves sushi, and they can't get that in Germany, so she was very happy to have sushi. And yeah, we just had a great
It was so
time
nice
at
to have
this.
a family there and be able to have this again so close at a place that was enjoyable to all.
And Tanner was really appreciative that they made the cross country trek to be there, so it was good.
You've even understated it. Not just cross country, cross globe trip. If you add Chad Noom, right?
That is true. So after we went to Bang Bang again, so this is day 2. After we went to Bang Bang, then we went to Tanner's. I would say, you think this is his favorite?
I don't know if I could answer that. I can say it's mine.
This is one of his favorites.
Right.
Casey Moore's, we've mentioned it before.
Yeah. Let's not. I don't think we even need to describe a house, neighborhood,
very low
porch.
key. Yeah, here
and
we all
we could
are.
hear each
Yes.
other. I sound like such an old, but it was nice to be able to talk.
And several of Tanner's friends from one group showed up here because they wanted to meet his aunt and uncle, and they wanted to, see us. But, so this was us at Casey Moore's. And
I don't think I looked at that zoomed in. I think the bags under my eyes are beginning to grow in earnest there. It was nice to turn into bed that night.
Yeah, so this was Sunday night. So yes, so then.
Now, one thing that I don't know where we're going to put the video in, but this is where we actually took our first Waymo. We took it from Casey Moore's
That's
back home.
Back to, yes, because we dropped Tanner off at Low Key on the way, yes. So
I want
to talk about what the Waymo is.
I mean, Waymo is real simple.
Yeah.
It's a driverless car.
Sure, but not... it's only in 3 cities in the United States right now.
It's just like the Uber app. You order it up, it shows up, and as you approach the car, you have to hit the little button for it to unlock. Because the first time we got to the car, we were poking around trying to get into the car. Don't know how to do it, but we
so here we go.
Get in there and hello, Rick. As soon as you sit down, I forgot we put Tegan in the Waymo first, but. Hello,
no,
Rick.
that was the next day.
Yes.
We'll
so
talk about,
we rode this, and it is the most surreal experience at first, but then we came to love it so much that's
all
what
we took. Yeah,
all over.
Yes, even in the Scottsdale, we took Waymos.
Yeah, these were not just neighborhood trips; these were out there, and so I'll roll a little video while we're talking here because it makes its turns. It knows how to handle traffic lights, unprotected lefts. It knows how to do that. It was really strange.
And it was nice that we did it. And that's kind of why we did it, because we wanted to make sure how everything worked before, because it's awesome for girls.
Yeah.
That, we could put Tegan in the Waymo. She don't have to worry about some creepy Uber driver. Not that all Uber drivers are creepy, but it's just something you don't even have to think about. Right. And so that was very nice that, yes, we could just put her in for her quick little trip back to the hotel to take her final the next day. So the Waymo was really fun. It was just another thing added to the trip that, we didn't expect to do, but then we ended up just falling in love with it. I'm like I keep saying, and I don't know how much here, because
I don't care. I still wish
I want it
to
be
here.
in Austin is where I would like it, but I think it would thrive there. Here, maybe down by SMU it would here, but so anyway, so the next day, Monday, this was the day of the one main ceremony, the honors one, which here's the 4 roommates. We did a champagne toast before they headed to the Barrett.
This is their townhome. Let's stop on that for a second. Now, first of all, this is the cleanest it's probably been since they lived in it, because they finally cleaned it for us to be in there. this is the kitchen. I didn't see a kitchen like that. I don't know, since we had a grown-up house. So
their
they
kitchen
lived in a nice
is almost
place.
nicer than ours. Yeah. I mean, well, I like their marble better than ours, but so all of the families gathered. It was really nice. We got to celebrate them before they had to leave to be at their
and it was
first
extended.
ceremony.
This was it wasn't just the boys and their parents. This was we had our full crew. They had full crew.
Siblings,
lots of folks there.
Yeah, aunts and uncles. Yeah, it was just a fun, and they could show off their house and and here's our speaking of family, this is our family picture. This is outside of the front of their townhome. Again, beautiful. I mean, you can just pose anywhere around his campus, and it's just you're gonna have a great backdrop every time you take a picture.
Was spectacular.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, we had just bluebird skies. Although cloudy. When was it cloudy? Either way, but it was mostly gorgeous.
Little windy a couple of the days.
I'll handle.
But it was hazy when you and I went for our hike on Sunday. We're like, why are the clouds roll? Because the clouds did roll in, but they had rolled out by the time
graduation.
Yeah, no, by the time they got to that was Sunday. So anyway, so after we did our little champagne toast, and we all headed over to his Barrett ceremony. I guess I didn't put any. This was after it, but and then this was Rachel and Jerry watching.
So one of the good things about family that is not able to travel, every ceremony is streamed, and so I know that Tanner also appreciated Jerry and Rachel being able to watch this in Arden Courts, where my mom at the time was in memory care.
Yeah,
and so seeing him walk across was neat.
So and I will say, here is Tanner with my parents. I just put that one because we're in enough of the pictures, but I was so impressed. I was so impressed with this first one.
Oh yeah, efficiency of
every ASU event we went to was done so well. I mean, so well. I didn't have the speakers were all great. They were so efficient. Everything was well run. I mean, this one had the smallest amount of people, and it lasted the longest just because it was the honors college. So there was a little bit more to do. And we'll put the video clip of him walking that he got later. We can put that in and post. But it was just a really well done.
He said several times, ASU, if they do anything, they do events.
Yes. And again, it was so nice that we could walk here.
Yeah.
My parents and Chad parked in the parking garage, walked. Then after we went over to Postino, which is
I think we may have mentioned that
one
a
of
couple
Tanner's
times.
favorite restaurants. This was the only hiccup we had because our table got screwed up. It ended up fine, but I had done so much to make. I mean, Tanner made this reservation 2 months ago. I told it, so it ended up fine.
Yeah.
But it was irritating that because I had done so much planning for everything to go, but it ended up totally fine.
Well, and there was actually a few life lessons to throw in there because I had to put on my cranky boy pants and. A phrase that I don't use often because it's very snarky, but when he was describing something to me and I said to them, well, no, that's a you problem, not a me problem. And it was magically a table that appeared. Yes. And so we were able to get it resolved.
And we got every appetizer for free. I mean, we had so much food. And Tegan's already gone. I didn't even think about that. She's already gone from this picture because she had to, bless her heart, go back to the hotel and take her Spanish final. So that's when we put her in the Waymo, and she was like, "That was so cool." She, really liked it. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna wish those were in Tucson. This is the one that Postino has. It's $6, 6 before 5 or something like that, or no 5 for 6 or before 6.
6 before 5.
There it is.
I think it's $6 beer, pitchers of beer, and $6 glasses.
We were there at 4:50 ordering.
Yeah,
and I asked the guy, when does it cut off? He said, 5 o'clock. I'm like, go ahead and bring 2 pitchers. Yeah. And Tanner was like, I think the proudest he's ever been. It was, Dad's learned Postino now.
Yeah. So, great time. And a couple of Tanner's girlfriends joined us. So,
friends who are girls, to be clear.
Yes. So then that evening, you, Tegan, and me, we went back to, this is the big commencement is what it's, and it's the
all of the this is the
yes.
full university commencement.
Yes.
So that is all of the colleges are there. So we're talking about nursing college, we're talking about graduate, we're talking about design and all of that,
engineering, all of the
they don't walk
there.
in this one.
No.
What I did think was somewhat funny about you and me here is we realized that Barrett was the ceremony we wanted to see, and we invested a lot to make sure we were there, we were seated, all that. This one we were like, we'll get there. They were playing pomp and circumstance as we're walking into the stadium.
We timed it perfectly.
Yeah, actually, we didn't have to worry about waiting that much. And it's because your kid's not walking across the stage or whatever, so you kind of just, I wanted to see it to experience the big scene. And it really was kind of neat to be in the big scene.
And it was fun. Tegan had a really, she ended up coming with us because she finished her final, and she was like, oh, that was really fun. It was beautiful. We got to sit outside. So this was on Monday still. So, and we had Tegan with us. Well, I guess after every graduation ceremony, Casa is the place to go to, which we have been to Casa on Parents Weekend. Big bar.
We've talked about it.
On Mill. We had Tegan with us, so she was our excuse. Oh, we can't go, but we'll walk by, and we took a picture of Tanner and Gabe with their fraternity stoles on, and
that's the thing. All these guys are wearing their grad stuff to the bars, and I get it. They want it, and then after a while, Tanner, we'd already left. Tanner realized, oh shoot, I don't want to. So he gave his stuff to Gabe's parents.
Yes, I was in my pajamas in bed. I get a text from him, hey, can y'all come back over here and grab my stuff? It's like, hey, no. So he's sitting at home with Gabe's parents who happened. We went to Insomnia and got cookies instead of going to Casa.
I said cookies over Casa. And I do like that they do that because the fact that this is an entertainment district right there by campus, so they do. They wear their gear. It's fun. People celebrate. Yeah. It's just, this is a neat part of how ASU handles their graduation.
I mean, the robes are going to have to be burned because they've been in so many bars and just gross. But
and he had one more ceremony to go after these.
I know, so then we move into Tuesday. I don't know, you and I went hiking. No, that's the day we walked with Tegan because she was still with us. We were putting her back on a shuttle to go back to Arizona so she could get packed up. But
so before we get into kind of what happened on the rest of Tuesday, do want to just stop down. We won't talk a lot about it on this episode. It'll certainly be in a future episode as well. But this week had a lot in it. And on Monday, the day of all the graduations, we got word that my mom, who we've talked about this before, has been suffering from Alzheimer's for years now, that it was likely that she would be passing within hours, maybe days, but that the end was going to be very near. And that was news that was certainly challenging to receive on the Monday that you're celebrating, so we're trying to mentally balance celebrating and that. Well, on Tuesday we did my mom did pass away on Tuesday, and so that happened there. Just want to acknowledge it in this episode. We'll talk certainly much more about that because, in a way, this is kind of how we treated that week as well. That, well, no, we are grieving, but we're also celebrating. We don't want to impair the celebration, and so while that did happen on the Tuesday, the celebrations continued and the graduation week continued. Tanner was in the car when Rachel called and let us know. Tegan was in the van going back.
Yeah, so we chose not to tell her until she got back to her dorm.
Right.
You don't really want to be in a shuttle of people when you find out something like that. But we had told the kids that morning that it was likely that she was going to pass that day. So, but yeah, it did make for a little bit of a roller coaster of emotions this week. But I every time I would text someone that I was telling, I put the caveat in there, we're not changing anything because she would not want us to change anything. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, absolutely. And let's move right back into the graduation celebration just like we did, but it would be wrong to not acknowledge this happened this day.
So that evening was the big roommate party, the 4 roommates and families. It was great. One of Tanner's roommates' moms did an excellent job of arranging everything. We had, barbecue catered. She had a cake, balloons. I have other pictures, but other people were in them, and I didn't get people's permission. But it was just, the setting was beautiful. They were at an Airbnb of that is one of their friends, and the backyard was so nice. I wish I would have gotten more pictures of like the table was so set and everything. I know I didn't take any. Yeah,
I know it's Arizona, but it had those kind of California vibes of where it's the outdoor dining, and that's
one dad outdoor. Took a picture, and I don't know if we'll ever get it or not, of us all at the table, but I don't know if we'll see it. But it was a great evening of just sharing, hearing stories that we hadn't heard before, finding out what everyone's future plans are. And these boys have just
reveals, like you said, sharing stories we haven't heard before. Sounds casual. We won't tell the stories, but this was a night of reveals.
Yeah. So
we got to hear.
It was a week of reveals.
Well,
I think at every stop I heard a news story that I was like, okay. Anyways, they all graduated. They all graduated with very high honors. They're all good, but these boys have such a special bond, and a lot of it has to do with they couldn't go anywhere their first semester of college because they were the COVID babies, and so they were stuck in their rooms doing class, entertaining themselves, so they just have a bond that. And the parents have then in turn been bonded because we've seen each other every time we're there for parents weekend, and the moms have a group chat, and so it was just very nice to celebrate them and celebrate with everyone for them. So, and then where did we go after that? Back to Casey Moore's
because it was walking distance. So we'd Waymo'd to this party, but then it was walking distance to Casey Moore's.
And then walked back to our hotel after we left our child.
And again, this is Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday.
We're tired.
Wednesday. We did Wednesday? We
did dinner with him. That was
his nice dinner.
We did the dinner, just the three of us celebrating at a nice steak restaurant, Bourbon and Bones.
That was the day that after we got the news, we realized we needed. So you and I went for a hike. Then we went and got massages, and then we went to the pool, and then we went to a very nice dinner, steak dinner at a place that we haven't been to before, and it was a very, very good evening.
It was a good day. It was so great to end with celebrating. It was great to relax before. Yeah, that was chill. Now, was this picture
this
that we have here?
Thursday.
This is Thursday. Okay, let's go on to Thursday.
We're going to Thursday now. So Thursday was Tanner's last graduation ceremony for his College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So I wanted a picture in front of the Barrett Honors fountain. He wanted a picture at Sunstop Liquor, if you're watching.
I think the best line from this visit was do you have the picture of him shaking hands?
No,
I don't think he did.
I didn't put that.
So he goes in there, and the guys know him.
Yeah.
So there's a relationship there. Now, let's not paint Tanner as this just complete booze hound. He had established a relationship because the guy was a Liverpool supporter, so they talked about soccer. They had a relationship there, talking through a lot of that. Tanner said, it's been great knowing you these 2 years, because he realized he couldn't say 4 because 2 of those years he probably wasn't supposed to be in there.
This liquor store was literally a block from their freshman dorm.
And where he lived sophomore year as well. This is right next to there.
So they frequented, and Tanner continues to go there when he's buying stuff for parties or buying stuff for gifts. And I think one of my brothers said, isn't the legal drinking age 21? I said, well, not for Tanner Denton from Missouri. So, and all of you who have kids our age, that everyone knows about the whole fake IDs have come a long way since.
We're not advocating.
Yes.
No.
Yes. So anyways,
but I love the picture of him in the graduation robe.
And when we went in, the owner that he really likes was there, shook his hand, gave him a flask for congratulations. And so then we went on to one of our favorite. That was one thing I will say we did. We tried to hit every one of our favorite restaurants in Tempe and Scottsdale.
We don't know when we're going to be back, right? And even when we are going to be back, it's not going to be the same.
Right,
If we go, because this was Sushi Holic.
We went to Sushi Holic.
So we go to Sushi Holic, and actually we went to Hillstone before. Again, gosh, everything sitting outdoors
I
is
know.
just so nice.
It's so nice. Everything is open air. I mean, all of the restaurants are open air.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome. Sat at Hillstone and then went over to Sushi Holic and got dinner.
And then this was the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. It was back outside on the football field again, run so well, and
it was just great.
It was just another nice evening.
And again, this one, I was glad to see him walk the stage. We were excited about that. We knew he was actually kind of up front, so we got to see that relatively quickly through the run of the kids. Same kind of thing. They moved through this stuff quickly, and there were a lot of kids. They did a great job with that.
I'd say there were probably 2,000 to 2,500 kids.
Yeah.
The whole entire ceremony was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Including reading the names.
And the dean said, clock it from here to the end of everyone's name. It's going to be an hour. And it was less. It was like 57 minutes.
I turned my stopwatch on.
Yeah. It was impressive. And again, there's not a live person up there reading. It was either, I couldn't figure out if it was AI generated or if it was someone had pre-recorded all their names.
Right.
And I don't know how they did that because they weren't in any order. I'm not sure. But so it was fun listening to some of the mispronunciations.
Tanner
Cameron. I was like, it's Cameron. And then poor Travis. I was like, it's Travis. And then our favorite one from Barrett, this poor kid, his name is Cody Moody. It was Cootie Moody. so, I mean, that'll live forever.
Yeah, he's going to be Cootie for the rest of his life.
So, but again, so much fun. And then this night we went to Casa with Tanner. I don't think I have a picture of that one for a little while. And because you and I had to get up the next morning.
Yeah, to go move one out, head down to Tucson and move her out. So, we got up and drove. Again, this is what's so great. We got up and drove from one kid's university to the other university, a distance that would be like driving from Frisco to Baylor, and moved her out. Now, this is one great thing. You got to experience it because you saw it in the video. She was so organized.
This child, yes, she had her piles, and she sent us a video the night before. This is what's going to my storage unit. This is what's coming home. This is trash. I mean, I was in there because you were on the phone in the car. I mean, we had it packed. By the time you got off the call, we were like, let's go move it to the car. We took stuff to the storage unit while she finished up cleaning a few things and got her checked out. And we were on our way, piled in, but we were on our way back to Tempe.
We challenged some of the rules of physics in the cars that we have used.
Yes. Yeah, and especially when we got here and trying to get everything into my car. But yes, no, again, Tegan finished an excellent year, first year of U of A after she got over the roommate struggle. I mean, she just had so much fun, did awesome in her classes, and she's excited to be home, but she's excited to go back next year. So just a great time. And then we all got to do a last dinner at one of our favorites, Pasta Brioni.
That was Pasta Brioni that night. Which there's a reason why that was the last dinner, because it was, in essence, the first dinner. We were looking for Italian on that night. And this was still COVID, and so there were a lot of dining restrictions, and we couldn't find space. So we actually kind of expanded our reach from ASU and found this place and fell in love with this place. And so it's a special moment in our minds to be able to have the beginning and the end of Pasta Brioni.
Yeah. And then we did get up the next morning and go to Sunny's, one of our favorite diners. So we did that,
which is a little bit of a beginning.
And I was glad that
well.
Tanner joined with us. So
he was tired.
Yeah, I mean, I did love seeing all of the boys as the week went on. I mean, I was like, yeah, not looking so good.
So the Seinfeld episode where Kramer ends up effectively smoking 40 packs, because he's created a smoking lounge in his apartment. And he's aged 40 years. That's what, not that these boys were smoking, but just the wear and tear of the week. And even just the exhausting of words. When we left Sonny's, I don't know, I think we said a couple of sentences on the way to the airport.
It was every time we got in the car with just the four of us, it was like, everyone's going to think we hate each other because we're not talking. And Tanner was like, I think we've used all our words. And I was like, yeah. And I said, and we don't.
There are no more
How many
stories
times can you say? That's what I kept saying. Can we think of a new? Because I've said congratulations like 4 bazillion times. Can we have another? But yeah, no. It was a great week, and we were still in Arizona. We didn't leave till Saturday, but my parents had actually, they went up to the Grand Canyon with Chad and Noom. They went to Albuquerque. They saw Santa Fe as they were headed back because my younger brother, Casey, graduated from Texas Tech. And people that don't know our family, they're probably like, you have a brother that's young enough to graduate from Tech? No. He finished his degree. And so that was a big celebration for them. They got to see him graduate. So that was nice for him.
It is great that they could make that kind of loop just to hit all the kids' colleges.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
They hit Arizona State, and now Tech.
Yeah. So again, it was just a good week, and
hard to believe it's over. Like there's that element of we said that after the last graduation. I kept saying to him, I would say these sentences. I said, you're no longer an ASU student. You're just a random guy in Tempe at this point. And yes, I know he's an alum, but the student part, it's over. And it's just sort of amazing to have gotten to that point.
And because he didn't come back home with us, he's still out there.
Right.
So I'm going to be real interested to see what he thinks of being out there for part of the summer. I keep having this feeling that he's going to say, I think I just want to come home, but we'll see.
I was only at school after graduation for a couple of days by myself because of the timing of when I went up to New York for the backpacking trip. And it was one of the most lonely, melancholy, and surreal moments. Now, we lived on campus, so slightly different because the dorms had just been completely cleared, but that was different. But it will be interesting to see what his emotions are.
Well, and that's, I graduated from the nursing school, which was in Dallas, but you graduated in Waco. So we literally, and you were at my graduation, we drove down, graduated, drove back. There wasn't a big...
You were almost like the parent version of it.
I can't even tell you what we did or anything. This experience with Tanner was totally, it was party. We're going here. I mean, it was like, and again, that's the ASU vibe. But yeah, it was just chock full of fun. Parties, even other kids' grad parties that we were a part of. It was just a lot of fun.
I told you that's perhaps the most I've eaten and consumed from a beverage perspective in a week span since college. You didn't partake to the same degree, but it was a full, vibrant week.
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. So, and then so we will await his arrival home because then we have to find him an apartment here, and I put this picture in last because, yes, he is, I think we've said he is going to SMU Law School. So, as soon as he gets home, we have to move him out. So.
Yeah. Welcome to our house. Now get out.
So yeah, there's a lot more fun times for him to, be had, and he's generally looking forward to law school. And I think he's also relieved that he's continuing on with school, because if you have a kid graduating this year, it's tough out there right now for a lot of them to try to find jobs. And I even some of Tanner's roommates were at the top of their, honors college, are having difficulties. And so you just hate that for them after they've put in so much time and effort.
Right.
And they're, very smart kids.
Right. They didn't blow college off. They did the right things. Yeah. And so they will be rewarded eventually. Yeah. It's just as frustrating. So for Tanner, it's great that he's able to continue on. Yeah.
So we are, no longer, I guess, officially empty nesters for a few months, even though we've barely seen Tegan. Although I did get to spend time with her. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, she's gone.
This was no
today.
different than any other recording session.
And I was like, I guess y'all just went on to the mall. Oh yeah, it's like okay.
But that's how it should be.
I know.
It's how it should be, and I know you know that, and so it's good. It's good.
So yeah, so we, this summer is going to be a little different just because of events that happened, earlier this week. We may be in and out to Austin and back, and so our plan is to still release episodes, and
just don't know what it looks like or how or when or
Yeah.
what it may. You may get a lot of episodes with us clipped on mics driving in a car somewhere. Who knows what it's going to be?
Just always an adventure. And
didn't you think the empty nest would be a little more stable? But no, at least this period. And well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So
major life changes will certainly come at us.
Yeah. So. Well, thanks for joining us again on another episode of The Loud Quiet,
Living the Empty Nest.